and can get.
Welcome back to First Things First. We're joined by Chris Canty.
Hey,
Lovely, rainy Wednesday here in New York. How are you, Chris?
I'm great, Jenna. How are you doing this morning?
I am doing so well.
Okay.
Still awkward. Still awkward.
Without fail.
Still awkward.
I was trying to be cool about it.
You're doing better than okay.
Jenna, you were fine.
Why do we laugh? What are we laughing
I
at?
didn't laugh. I was smiling at you.
You are doing wonderfully, Jenna. Wonderfully. I'm serious.
Thank you.
No problem.
Now to the big news in the NFL. Chris Canty. The news, the Patriots sending wide receiver Brandin Cooks to the Rams for a first-round pick. Cooks had over 1,000 yards, 7 touchdowns in just a season with the Patriots. And he will join an offense of Robert Woods, Cooper Kupp, and Todd Gurley. The Rams continue to go all in as they added multiple stars on defense throughout the last few weeks, including Marcus Peters and Aqib Talib and Ndamukong Suh. They got quite a team now, Chris. What does this mean for the Rams? Is the project overhaul complete at this point?
Well, I don't know about complete. There's still a lot of offseason to go. They don't have a lot of draft capital, but we'll see what happens as veterans become available in the last parts of the offseason cycle. But when you start talking about what the Rams are doing, they're trying to capitalize on having a starting quarterback on a rookie contract. It's the same concept that we talk about with the Dallas Cowboys and Dak Prescott. So they lost a speed guy in free agency with Sammy Watkins. You add a speed guy in Brandin Cooks, somebody that can be a vertical threat, displace the defense. If you look at what Brandin Cooks brings to the table, 3 straight years of having 1,000 yards receiving or more, and he was tied for the NFL league lead in receptions of 20-plus yards downfield with DeAndre Hopkins. I believe he had 16. So he's a guy that can give you production in the downfield passing game, and he can be that threat toward the defense so teams can't stack the box against Todd Gurley in that running game. It's a prolific Rams offense. They were the #1 scoring offense in the league, top 10 in passing and rushing, but they needed to have that element, an outside vertical threat, and Brandin Cooks brings that.
So here's the thing. You alluded to what I believe is the single most important part of this. We have to start looking at the NFL as almost side-by-side leagues. Teams with a quarterback on a rookie contract and everybody else. Because what did Seattle do when they had Russell Wilson essentially for free? Because not only a rookie contract, but a third-round rookie contract. Man, bring in Michael Bennett. Bring in Cliff Averill. Let's just bring in guys. We have all this extra money with a franchise quarterback that's not being paid as such. People don't think about it this way. It's one of the reasons Philly's been able to add Jay Ajayi, reload this offseason. They have a franchise quarterback making this type of money.
And with the unexpected growth of the salary cap.
Right.
The salary cap's over $170 million now, too. So with that model, right now is the time. Like, it's even easier now to be able to do that. That model Seattle had, that you have to be able to add these veteran players before you have to pay this guy $120 million.
Right, and you got to take advantage in the here and now. The whole, well, let's wait until the quarterback's in his prime. By then, he's going to be making $30+ million. You're not going to have the room for it. So, like, what the Rams know is Aaron Donald's coming up. Todd Gurley, then Jared Goff. Also in 2019, free agents, LaMarcus Joyner, who they franchised this year. They traded for Marcus Peters. He's coming up the year after that. Like, go for it right now.
And Brandin Cooks, he's on a 5th-year option.
Right,
you're going to have to pay him. You don't trade a first-round draft pick without thinking you're going to extend him.
And so this is what I want to ask you about, CC, about Cooks, because you talked about the vertical threat. This was, a lot of people were skeptical when the Chiefs signed Sammy Watkins, that big deal. The Rams didn't want to pay him 3 years, $48 million. The Chiefs did. I know the Chiefs believe that Sammy is better than his numbers show last year because the knock on Jared Goff is accuracy downfield. So last year he threw the ball, this is courtesy of Key and Fay of pre-snap reads. He threw 14 times where the ball traveled more than 20 yards in the air to Sammy Watkins. Only 2 of those were accurate. So there were only 2 of 14 deep passes, Sammy Watkins, that were accurate throws. He only completed, not surprisingly, only 2 of those 14. So what can Cooks do outside of get open deep if the quarterback is not great at making those particular throws?
Well, I think that Sean McVay and the coaching staff there, what they're going to do in Goff's 3rd year is they're going to put more of a demand for him to be better in that aspect of the passing game. They re-signed Tavon Austin, so he's their reverse speed guy, change of pace guy. But Brandin Cooks got to be down the field, a down-the-field threat. This is what I'm worried about with Brandin Cooks. Sean Payton, one of the best play callers, they drafted him in the 1st round. Year 3, they gave up on him, traded him to New England. Man, New England's offense, Tom Brady, Bill Belichick, Josh McDaniels, they gave up on him in one season. I'm a little concerned about how good he can be as a wide receiver. Is he a fast guy, a track guy playing football? Or ultimately, is he going to have the upside that someone like Sammy Watkins we believe is going to have? That is a question that's going to have to be answered if the Rams win in this deal. Because when you trade a first-round pick, you're expecting to also sign him to a contract extension, but you are expecting him to develop as your #1 wide receiver. And that's the part that only Brandin Cooks, he's going to have to answer that with his play this year.
Did the Patriots give up on him, or did he just not fit the mold of how they were going to do business re-signing? Because if he was, what would he have to do for them to say, you know what, this is the guy that we will actually keep around and re-sign, even though this is not usually what we do? What would you have liked to see out of him?
The problem in New England is that Tom Brady only makes $14 million. So when you come with a contract extension, their salary cap structure is totally different than anyone else.
Right.
Everyone else, their ceiling is, where's their quarterback? We just talked about Kirk Cousins. In Minnesota, the ceiling is $28 million. And then you start paying your players accordingly based on their value to the team.
Yeah, New England, it's $14 million.
It's $14 million. I mean, second receivers are getting $12 to $14 million. Sammy Watkins got $16 million. Brandin Cooks had to be looking for, I mean, whatever you want to say, you got to give me $12 to $15 million. That's just not going to happen in New England because of the way the team is set up, Chris.
You're absolutely right, CC. And I hesitate to say they gave up on him, but I just don't think he was going to be included in their long-term plans, given the needs that they created this past season when they traded away Jimmy Garoppolo. You got to find a successor for Tom Brady. You know that Rob Gronkowski has had health issues. You lost Nate Solder in free agency, and you have to do something about your pass rush. So they have a lot of needs, and they needed draft capital to be able to address some of those needs this offseason. So they saw an opportunity. If they're not going to extend Brandin Cooks, it made sense to flip him for a first-round draft pick.
Yes. Just quickly here, 20 seconds. On the Rams side of things, are they, to you now, one of the 3 favorites in the NFC?
I think you have to consider it. It's a young team, and you have a quarterback that's continuing to develop. Like you noted, he's got to improve on his down-the-field passing, but I think having the weapons there, having the threat of a Brandin Cooks is going to help. And, again, you got to do everything you can to try to make things easier on Todd Gurley.
Chris, we'll see you a little bit later in the show.
All right, sounds good.
Don't go anywhere. Coming up, let's talk some basketball again. Kevin Durant admits the Warriors are not invincible.
Not in the polka dots?
Next on First Things.
Trying to have a little fun.